Husqvarna TE300. One of the guys just bought this last week. He has fitted a second set of plastics to keep the original plastics in good condition. We have offered to help him scratch and damage the Husky as part of the running in procedure. So this review is based on the comments of 5 riders. We are all focused on slow technical riding, which influences our opinions, but we have also read a pile of reviews to provide a perspective of faster riders. A quick history. KTM purchased the Husqvarna brand in 2013. The TE300 has essentially always been a KTM 300 EXC in different colours, a rear suspension linkage and a bigger price tag. TBI was introduced in 2019. In 2024 there was a new frame, the engine was slightly tilted, and WP Exact suspension replaced the previous Explore suspension. 2025, new Brembo clutch, brakes and a combined stop-start switch. The 2026 model will have a new cylinder, tweaks to the suspension, improved fuel line protection and bold new graphics. So how is it different to the KTM 300 EXC and GasGas EC300? Main difference compared to the KTM is the Husky has a linkage for the rear suspension. The main difference with the GasGas, the EC300 has some cheaper components such as the non-Brembo brakes. Okay, let's review the beast. We will start with the engine, as the TBI is probably the biggest difference to other brands. The good news, the TBI has restored that lost power at low revs, and it's now similar to bikes with a carburetor. The TBI engines were very soft at low revs and then suddenly came on strong in the mid-range. A lot of owners would spend close to $1,000 Australian dollars or $600 US for a new cylinder head and CPU, which improved things, but you still didn't quite have the grunt of a Beta RR300 or Sherco 300 SE. Both the Sherco and Beta have counterbalances, but they still aren't as vibration-free as the TBI models. The throttle, very precise. It's instant, and small movements make a big difference. Initially this felt weird, but it didn't cause a loss of traction, so it should provide a bit of extra control for experienced riders. A great feature of TBI and TBI models is they don't get that 2-stroke stutter in higher gears at constant speed. You know that sound? We haven't tested the fuel economy, but it should be better than carburetor models. Suspension, thankfully the WP Explore forks were dropped in 2024. These were plush, but not very good at absorbing big impacts at speed. We have never liked WP suspension. They seem to have a long track record of taking a few years to get their suspension working well, then completely change it for some reason and repeat the process. However, the Exact setup seems to be great right from the start. Our riders varied from 80 to 100 kilograms and everyone really liked the suspension. Very plush at low speed, still great as the speed picks up. One rider did mention the rear seemed to rebound a bit too quickly over whoops, but we are sure a bit of adjustment would fix that. The overall handling, for our slow technical riding, it was excellent. It feels reasonably light and quick to turn on the tight stuff. As the speed increases, there's plenty of inline stability, but in our opinion, all the 302 strokes have been excellent in this respect for years now. Brakes, well, they are Brembos, they work great. The clutch had plenty of feel and the clutch pull is quite light. So what are the negatives or potential problems? Fuel injection creates more complexity and things to go wrong. And the Austrians often bring out their new technology without fixing all the issues first. TBI was no exception. Look, a lot of riders have had no problems, but a small percentage of owners hit all sorts of issues, which we have detailed in this video. Most were solved over a few years. TBI has been similar. A small percentage of owners have had issues with leaks, bogging, excessive heat. There have been a few cases of pistons breaking when they hit the crankshaft. Let's hope these were resolved quickly. KTM has admitted their quality control dropped badly when they increased production dramatically. TPI often used too little oil. Now the TBI uses too much. We had spooge running out of the exhaust after only 1 hour of riding. We asked the guys at Two Stroke Performance about this. Pause to read their reply. A big improvement with TBI is you can use premix, as TBI doesn't require an oil pump, so that's one less point of failure. Also, there's a control unit under the seat with a screen that shows you if there's a fault. We suggest carrying some spare sensors to use if you hit any problems out on the track. The price? It's expensive. This is strange when KTM has so many financial problems and has heavily discounted a range of models to try and get some sales. The Enduro models seem to be the same old high price. In the USA, you are paying about $700 US more compared to Beta and Sherco. The Husqvarna is around 3,000 Aussie dollars more expensive than the Beta and Shercos. We suspect this huge difference is because since 2019, KTM bought the full distributorship rights in Australia, and they just keep setting higher and higher prices. So who should buy the Husqvarna TE300 or its close cousins, the KTM 300 EXE and GasGas EC300? All the European 300 two-strokes are excellent bikes nowadays, and you can't really make a wrong choice if you are an everyday muppet like us. We think the main reason to consider a TBI model is if its advantages will make a big difference for you. For example, some riders find even a small amount of vibration causes numbness in their hands. If so, you will love the TBI. Ditto if you like instant throttle response and very precise throttle control. Some riders will certainly love this. Others will appreciate the more forgiving nature of a carburetted bike. If you spend a lot of time on roads or smooth dirt roads at speed, you will appreciate the smoothness and lack of stutter at constant throttle settings. There is such a big price difference in Australia that you would really need to appreciate those differences. So what about you? Have you ridden or owned a TBI model? Any tips? Have you had any problems? We will highlight useful information and updates in the pinned first comment.